hope and goal here over the next 10 minutes is to give you a clear conscience about what it is that we're doing. And hopefully that you'll join forces with us, as our whole purpose around the world is to eradicate poverty and to help over 90% of the global population cover their monthly expenses with our crowdfunding platform, or to raise enough funds for any cause that their heart desires as well. So we realize that maybe you're here because you've been involved in other businesses before, and you're trying to figure out, well, why isn't this network marketing? And if it is, there's no product here. Or how is this crowdfunding when you're incentivizing people to donate with an expectation of a return? Why isn't this a Ponzi scheme? All of these different mental sticking points, which I'm empathetic with, but I'm here to assure you that we are none of those things. We are a one-of-a-kind crowdfunding system, and we're disrupting the way in which people raise funds. It's no different than when you look at Uber, as you may have seen in the presentation, how it disrupted the taxi cab industry without owning cars. I want you to think about this for a moment. I mean, this is just a little bit of a common sense idea. Remember when there was a belief that it wouldn't be prudent or it wouldn't be a good idea to pick up hitchhikers or strangers, okay? But when you think about it, that's all Uber is, where they've created a gig economy where now we just go ahead and we pick up strangers, they get in our car, and we don't have any problem doing anything like that. Well, that's exactly what Uber did. It disrupted the belief level of the taxi cab industry and the way in which we now pick up hitchhikers. When you look at Airbnb, it disrupted the hotel and hospitality industry. Now, there was a time where it wasn't prudent or wise to allow strangers to just walk around in your home, open your refrigerator, take showers, and lounge around on your furniture. But guess what? Airbnb changed the psychology of that, created a gig economy, and that's exactly what people are doing, and it disrupted the hospitality industry. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that we're being ushered into a whole nother economy because of technology and platforms. And what Co-op Crowd is going to do, it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to disrupt the fundraising industry in the exact same way that Uber did the taxi cab industry and Airbnb did the hospitality industry. And there's going to be a mental shift, just like it was in those industries. That's what the purpose of this quick overview is to help you make that mental shift into the new way of crowdfunding that is going to become normal moving forward here. So allow me to go ahead and minus my picture out here, and we're going to jump right into this PowerPoint here really quickly. Okay. So when you look at traditional crowd funds, whether it be Indiegogo, Kickstarter, what's some other ones? PayPal put their hat in the crowdfunding arena. Facebook has a crowdfunding initiative as well. What you're looking at here is a centralized platform. That's what all of those are. And the dot in the middle represents Facebook, Indiegogo, PayPal, Kickstarter, GoFundMe. That represents them in the middle. It's a centralized point of contact. It's their platform. And the dots around that center dot represents people around the world that decide to use the traditional crowdfunding portals. And so you're looking down, you're above it looking down. And what you don't realize is that that is very pyramidal in structure, because from that centralized point, there's owner, there may be a board of directors, there may be regional managers, marketing directors, all of these different people. They have to actually get paid. So why is it okay that people can go ahead and create these platforms and create these causes, and they get a percentage and all the donations get funneled up through this pyramidal hierarchy to a centralized point? But the moment that a crowdfunding company like Co-op Crowd comes along and says, listen, we're not here to have a centralized point of contact. We're here to flatten the pyramid and redistribute funding in a way that's never been done before. And that's our goal. Because here's what you need to understand. When you look at traditional crowdfunding, they get a piece of all the donations of the people that use the crowdfunding platform. Most people never reach their crowdfunding goals. And so they get transfer fees, transaction fees. It typically takes maybe 2 to 5 days to even get your money if you hit your crowdfunding goals. And with our particular crowdfunding, you can withdraw your money immediately through your own private, decentralized digital wallet. And that's extremely powerful. So I want you to understand from that perspective, we're already hitting the whole pyramidal structure here, because every traditional crowdfunding portal is pyramidal in structure, and they get a piece of the action. And we're doing away with that because we get, as members, 100% of all the donations. And I'm going to show you guys a visual on how that looks different from this centralized point of view. Now, the other thing that we've found is a mental sticking point for people is this. Well, you're incentivizing people to donate because they want to receive donations as well, as if there's not other types of crowd funds that do that. There's actually 5 different types of crowdfunding. There is donation-based, which we all know what that is, where you give of your own free will to a cause that you believe in. There's debt-based, and this is where you receive donations with the expectation of paying it back in the future, right? Then there's equity-based. Now, here's where the incentive comes in. The incentive is this, an equity-based, where you're donating into a company with the expectation of getting an equity position or piece of the ownership of said company, right? Then there's also real estate based, whereby you have a bunch of people who donate into a real estate deal. Typically, it's like about $5,000 minimum, and you're expected to get paid a dividend back, let's say quarterly. So there's incentive there. And then the 5th one is rewards based. Now, people typically donate into a rewards based campaign because with the expectation of receiving products and or services of said company at a discount. And so there's an incentivized position there with those, but no one has a problem with that. The beautiful thing about what it is that we're doing, and let me also put this caveat in there, is the fact that they're all pyramidal in structure as well. The money gets funneled up to a centralized point. Even though it says decentralized there, the decentralization talks about that there are other centralized crowdfunding platforms that can participate in crowdfunding. Okay. Now, here's where Co-op Crowd is so different. We're distributed. I want you guys to really look at that visual there. Co-op Crowd is so ingenious. We get 100% of the donations. So what's happening is that there is no centralized point of contact like in a pyramid. Cooperatives actually flatten the pyramidal corporate hierarchical structure and redistributes funds in a way that's never been done in human history. So we're creating mutually beneficial outcomes for everyone involved. And we also solve 2 very, very important key goals that prevents many people from reaching their crowdfunding goals in the traditional sense. Number 1, you have to rely on the goodwill of other people in order to reach your crowdfunding goals in the traditional sense here, all right? And so there's people that may not be interested in your specific cause for whatever reason, all right? It's completely subjective. Number 2, you have to have a huge network. You have to know tens, thousands of people that's willing to donate to your cause in order to hit your objective. With cooperatives, it's about a lot of people doing just a little bit. And because we turn givers into receivers in the cooperative, it eliminates the prejudice and the biasness in the crowdfunding activity because 100% of all the donations goes back out to the members out in the field. And it doesn't matter who you donate to in their cause, as long as it's nothing illegal and bad, which is not in our environment. So it's a built-in incentive and everybody wins. And so our whole goal here is to help people raise enough money to eradicate poverty around the world, to meet their monthly overhead and their expenses as well. So just by looking at the visual, which one would you choose? I'm sure you would choose the cooperative crowd fund. So no, we're not a pyramidal structure. We're flattening the pyramid. No, we're not network marketing because we're not marketing a product that we have to educate people on to part ways with their money. We are crowdfunding, and you can crowdfund for anything. I hope you're starting to understand the difference and why we're going to turn the crowdfunding arena on its heels. And many people around the world, especially the unbankable, are going to benefit from this because ours is built on the blockchain as well. Okay. So here's what happens in our scenario. 1 donation in Co-op Crowd helps 10 other people's causes. Think about that. So it's not about just donating to one person's cause. Your small, tiny donation at $1 a day helps 10 other people's causes. It's $25 per month, plus there's a $3 a month hosting fee. We take 3 months up front. If you remember the presentation, I want to encourage you to go back and review the presentation after you have this information, because maybe you're going to listen to it with a totally different ear, okay? But 10 people's causes are helped as a consequence of 1 donation, and it's ingenious, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So The bottom line is, what's your number? Everyone has a number. And as we talked about in the presentation, we're talking about what your monthly overhead is. Whatever that number is, to a mathematical predictability, we can show you how to achieve that. And not only you, but anyone that you know and love. And that's why the person that invited you here, they care enough about you because they understand exactly what we're doing. When you look at this image here, this is how we see the world being affected by Co-op Crowd, where donations are flowing throughout our global ecosystem in an equitable, mutually beneficial way that changes the way in which people around the world raise money. I hope you're starting to see the picture here.